Kia ora tātou, e mihi anō, i te pōnei, i te tari Kaeo. Nō reira, kia ora tātou. Kia ora everybody. We're here again just to share another insight, I guess, or share a little bit of consideration in an attempt to keep our culture intact. This evening's, or this discussion here, or sharing, is in regards to the difference between the upcoming event called Matariki and the Northern Tribe event called Te Puanga, and how different they are. So one of the first differences I'd like to express, first and foremost, to do with Matariki and Te Puanga. One of the, I'll call, sky differences is when that those tupuna showed themselves to us at this particular point in time. Te Puanga is known in the Western world as regal, and Matariki is known as Pleiades. So they're two totally different star clusters or star movements, if I can say it like that. And the reason why there's a difference is because of the position of where the Northern Tribe is and how the philosophy they used Te Puanga as an event for them, and how the Southern tribes used Matariki for them. I personally don't have an opinion on the Southern tribes and how the ancient method and philosophy of using Matariki for them. But what I would like us to consider is that currently, right now, we've got the first public holiday coming of Matariki. Being romantic, and I'll say it like that, I have my own concerns that the culture of Matariki is now being rendered down, and it's been rendered down significantly. It's been recognized by another culture, and it's become a public holiday for another culture. And my observation of public holidays was for an economic reason, the economic reason for people to have holidays and to spend some of the income to prop up a governing structure that we have here. It's just like Easter. What do we do as parents and grandparents on Easter? We go and exhaust all our resources, or what little we have left, on the belief that a rabbit can lay chocolate eggs, and we go and buy copious amounts of chocolate, supporting the economic philosophy, and feed them to our children, knowing full well that the copious amounts of chocolate that we feed them isn't actually good for their health. But today we have Matariki, which is called a celebration, and I don't despise that. But the celebration is of a Western world celebration, and the abandoning of our traditional culture and why that was used. So if I can, without attempting to criticize what we've actually done to, again, another cultural event that belongs to our culture, we've allowed it to be taken into another culture's system. We've allowed it to have another culture's understanding, and we've allowed the philosophies of that culture to impose further implications for us. So to be part of a Matariki event today, and I'll just run this off as quickly as I possibly can, as I really want to talk about Te Puanga. There's a funding application that's required. I just want to express the amount of agencies that are involved with a funding application for Matariki event, and I congratulate all those people who have worked tirelessly in their attempt to apply the conditions of those funding applications to ensure that the entertainment is upheld of those days. And first and foremost, Matariki isn't for 2 days, it's actually for longer than that. It's possibly 5 to 6 days. And Matariki doesn't arrive on the 25th and 26th of every year consistently. It arrives when those stars arrive. And I'm just considering that in the future we'll be celebrating a Matariki event, and those stars haven't actually arrived yet. So again, we're abandoning those cultures. The amount of ministries that are involved in a funding application for Matariki event, just to name a few, you've got health and safety because of public events. You've got the inland revenue because of the type of philosophy of spending. You've got the other economic agencies for accountability of that funding and how it's used. You've got a Ministry of Social Development, you've got ministries, you've got a whole raft of ministries that are behind that. And why I'm mentioning those ministries is because when central government pitches an amount of funding for us to celebrate our event under their wing, there's a huge amount of that resources scraped off and shared amongst those ministries so that they can form their administrations to administer the different parts of the Matariki event that they have to participate in. So that's a consideration of now when it comes to Matariki, where is our culture and what have we done to allow it to be transformed into something that's very, very foreign to us. So in that note, I would like to wish everybody well when that event comes, and keep yourself safe, and more to the point, keep our children safe and keep our elders safe. I know our elders are going to be participating in an event that they really know nothing about, and so doing things that really don't comply with their upbringing. And I just want us to consider that when we're having our contemporary fun at those particular points in times. I know there's a lot of arts and crafts being shown, and where did that come from? So in the differences of how Te Puanga is used up in the north, first, I'd just like to give an explanation as to why, what I've been told by the elders and how Te Puanga differs from Matariki. So what I'd like to do is I'd just like to draw a curvature of, let's call that a part of the earth where we come from. And if we allow the cluster of Matariki to show itself in that part of the night sky, when you're at this particular point on the earth, your vision takes you to there. And you're able to see the whole cluster, and that's where Matariki comes from. Now, when you're in the northern tribe, you're in this part of the world, and your vision doesn't actually get the whole cluster from the northern tribe. So the regal star cluster that we see in the far north here is what we see when Matariki arrives. And it's because of the curvature of the earth. And that really is a simple explanation of why we call Matariki, we call Te Puanga during that Matariki event. There is a little comment I would like to make personally about including Te Puanga in the event of Matariki. The funding application is for Matariki, it's not for Te Puanga. So you keep your Matariki over there and we'll keep our Te Puanga over here. Uncolonized, and we'll keep it pure as to what it was, and I mean that in no disrespectful way. We've always been very assertive up in the north here, and that's not an assertive comment. It's just saying that the inclusion of Matariki / Te Puanga is not what we should be doing. I'm just making that as, because Te Puanga have different philosophies. Te Puanga is an event that involves specific behaviors that we use up into the north. I won't disclose too much of those behaviors that why we use that event, but I will like to share an understanding is to remember the past and celebrate the future. On one note, it was a time in our culture where we got together and remembered those who had passed in the past 12 months and also celebrated those new babies that had come. So that's something that we should traditionally continue to do on one perspective of the culture. And it's a beautiful event when we do that. Some of the other philosophies around the star cluster, where they are called regal and Pleiades, for an example, if you are familiar with the Subaru car, the label or the symbol Subaru is uses as a label on the front of their car. It's a little circle, and it has a cluster of 7 stars. That's Matariki, and they call it Subaru. In Europe, they call it the solstice. The same system in the middle of winter, a new year, end of an old year, beginning of a new year. The Romans talk about Hercules. In Australia, they also use Pleiades. And in Egypt, they use the symbols that they've constructed called the pyramids. So in saying that, I would like to thank you for, and I hope as well that this is of benefit to anybody, not to criticize, but just to make the clear distinction between Matariki and Te Puanga for us in the north, is because we can't see the whole of the 7 sisters or the whole of the 7 tupuna when they arrive here and show themselves in the night sky or the morning sky. Kia ora tātou.